just never gets old. You know, I'm almost 80. That's old. But this, a good smudge, it just never gets old. Okay, we're going to start out this video with a little housekeeping. If you haven't seen my video before this about No Massacre, this video that you can see the thumbnail to I'm showing now, please go watch it. You know, my podcast here is a lot like a rocket. Now, not that kind of rocket, hopefully, but it's a multi-stage type podcast. You may wonder, you know, I have several things I'm talking about generally that wind up in a payload towards the end, just like a multi-stage rocket. So hang with me here. I want to start today with a little housekeeping about that film, and in particular about that podcast, and in particular where I addressed the camera, the Kodak camera that Roger Patterson used, the notch in the camera, and that sort of discussion. I kind of want to just add to that a little bit that I think would enrich it, and since you've stuck with me, I think you deserve this. So let's start talking about, you know, Roger's camera, and him and Bob are riding, and then they suddenly see a Sasquatch. Looky, Bob, yonder goes a Sasquatch. One minute takes longer than you think. Okay, that camera was actually running. If you could hear that motor sound, that's exactly what they would have heard running, and it was set to 16 frames per second, just as it's documented. Let's take a look inside this camera, because all 16 millimeter cameras of the time and era had a little notch in the frame gate where the film was exposed between the lens and the actual reels of the camera. And I want to show you that gate. And then I want to show you the little notch that Kodak has that you can see. Let me put up this graphic. One of these is from the master copy, the one with the notch, and then the one I have that doesn't have it is not from the master copy, or not the master copy, I should say. So it doesn't have it. That little notch is masked over during the optical or contact print. So when you see that little notch in the corner, you can identify not only the camera that it was filmed on, but if it is indeed the master copy or not. So it's all important because people have thrown out these little things to sidetrack you, propaganda to sidetrack you and keep you from considering what Patty really is by saying, we don't really know what camera Roger shot it at and they try to introduce these fantasy mysteries to gain attention. But I'm going to show you that any of those people that have done any research, and you can't trust any of it if they don't know this simple thing. Those cameras had a little notch with a shape, and you could identify the camera by that shape. So Kodak, Bolex, Belhau, Argus, they all had their own little shape, so you knew instantly from looking at the master copy what camera that was shot on. And anyone that didn't tell you that or doesn't show that is just well, you decide. So let's take a look inside this camera right now. And actually I have two of them here, and I want to show you that part. These are two Kodak cameras, identical, just like Roger Patterson used. This little part I'm showing you here is a handy little feature people don't explain, but when you had your film, that you would take off the little tab on the cardboard box, and you could insert this little chart here into the side holder of it. You'll notice it says Kodak, Kodachrome True. And then you could use the little dial on the side, and it would say things, it says things on the side like sunny, dark, whatnot, and you could point your dial on one end to the proper setting that you'd be shooting the camera under, like sunny, and then it would tell you how to configure the camera on the other parts. Here I'm going to start, and I'm going to open the doors so we can see inside the camera. Would have looked exactly like this. These are exactly like Roger had. And let's take the covers off. And we have 2 reels. Those are pickup reels, and I'll take those out. Identical. And the little red lines on the inside of the camera shows the operator how to thread the film through and which path to take it to wind it back up onto the take-up reel. And this is a little film gate that I'm pointing at, and I'm going to flip it open because it flips open, and you would feed your film through it. There's a little pathway in there for it to go in. That's how you got it in there. And then I'm going to show you here, I'm going to bring it up close to the camera the best I can, and I'm going to show you that tiny little film gate at the bottom right. There's a little notch. Now it appears on the master in the upper left. That's because the camera films everything upside down and backwards, which, by the way, when I copied the film was how I had to view it, and then I had to flip it and reverse it in process. And here's the other one. Exactly like the one before it, the exact same thing, nothing different, just a little notch there, so that the master is always has that encoded into it, and you'll know exactly what camera it was filmed on. Now I'm going to show you here a close-up of it that I took, and let you look at it for a second, and then we'll get back. It is possible in this video that you can hear the wind blowing besides me. I'm in Oklahoma, and it's only 40 miles per hour today, so the studio here groans and creaks a little bit. And but the other day it was 68 miles per hour. That was a lot of fun, let me tell you. Hey, I want to say right now, I want to start out and just say at this point, I got to thank everybody for liking, subscribing, and sharing. I don't want to ask for that, but I feel like I got to, but I don't feel like I really got to. You know, it's weird. And I want to thank everyone who has joined my Patreon. Thank you very much. And I want to thank everyone who's bought the merch. I have got some really cool merch, okay? I've got coffee cups. I've got snow globes. I've got t-shirts, phone cases. The store has literally every type of product, and if there's something there that you want, just let me know and I'll make it for you. So in the comments, give me a shout. Also, I want to say that all the proceeds from the channel and the merch, the Patreon, will go to the Hoopa Youth Scholarship Program, and it's going to go help those kids there. And so it's a great deal, and together we can make a difference. All right, now we're going to talk a little bit about words. Words are a funny thing, and it happened to come up in my interview with Dr. Meldrum, which, by the way, I'll take a look at this thumbnail. If you haven't seen it, this is my interview with Dr. Meldrum thumbnail. And I want to say, when I did that video, I was not feeling great that day. I was really, I had a lot of cold medicine in me and things going on. And he and I had just a really lovely talk before I actually started cutting into this and making that video I'm showing you the thumbnail to. But Dr. Meldrum and I just had a really nice visit. We had some things in common that I wanted to discuss and that he was surprised about. And then we got really in depth to it. It was really fun. And like I said, I was I was sick that day. I had every kind of cold medicine in me. And Dr. Meldrum needs no introduction, okay? He is like the expert in Bigfoot and in so many ways in this topic. But I think I would be remiss if I didn't say he's the professor of anatomy and anthropology at the Department of Biological Sciences in Idaho State University, and that he's an adjunct professor in the Department of Physics and Occupational Therapy and the Department of Anthropology, and he's an expert on foot morphology and locomotion. He received his BS in zoology, specializing in vertebrate locomotion at Brigham Young University in 1982. He has an MS at BYU in 84. In 89, he completed his PhD at Stony Brook University in anatomical sciences with emphasis on biological anthropology with John G. Flegel as his doctoral advisor. He held position of postdoctoral visiting assistant professor at Duke University Medical Center from 1989 to 1991. And he worked at Northwestern University's Department of Cell Molecular and Structural Biology for a short while in 1993 before joining the faculty of Idaho State University, where he currently teaches. And look, I could go on and on about Dr. Meldrum. Please watch that video. And it was a great interview. I really enjoyed it. But we're going to talk about words. I find it terribly fascinating when I watch podcasters or researchers or anyone discussing this topic when they want to say about a Bigfoot. They have these tracks and they say, look, it was a Bigfoot. And to me, I see this one-legged Sasquatch there hopping along. There's multiple. They say singular when they see multiple where it should be plural, but they don't call it big feet. And so I imagine one day, a long time ago, and there's a story on supposedly how it came up, but someone said, look, those tracks, there's a Bigfoot. So, and it just kind of stuck with that singular. But then they call them Bigfoot, they call them creatures, they call them animals, beings, primates, monkeys, apes. I hear all these words. Now, I'm not sure that we're using and parsing our English correctly. Let's take a look here just at 1 second or listen to at what humans are. I'll have to read this. I want to get it correct. By definition, humans are animals belonging to the primate order, specifically within the ape family, and more precisely classified as great apes, alongside chimps, gorillas, and orangutans. Thus, humans are animals, primates, and great apes. So we are primates, which they refer to Bigfoot's feet as primates, but so are we. And they refer to them as great apes. So are we. I'll tell you a story how when I first saw the film. I was amazed. When I say the film, you know what I'm talking about, the Patterson-Gimlin film. That's why we're here. And I was a kid growing up here in Oklahoma, and I remember going over to my next door neighbor there was a large family of full-blood Osage Indians, and he and I were also blood brothers. And I asked them when we were there watching, because it was always fun to be around that big family, what is that? And they very readily told me exactly what that was on the film, and in no uncertain words, that is a type of a tribe, a human, and we don't bother them, they don't bother us. And so at a very young age, I already knew what was on the film. It kind of behooves me and kind of makes me laugh a little and feel sad a little bit for people who don't know what's on that film or even question it. Later in my life, a friend of mine came along, and his name was Gary Beaver. Gary Beaver was a longtime resident of Colville Reservation. And I'm sure a lot of you, if you're watching, know who he was, because people knew Gary all around this country. And he was a character. He lived a long and large, colorful life. But we would have discussions here, and I would ask him about the Sasquatch. And he told me in no uncertain words about them. It was very congruent with what my neighbors said. And this is Gary. As I mentioned, he was a longtime resident of Colville and a proud member of the Muskogee Creek Nation. And well, let's listen to what Gary told me, so you can hear for yourself what I know and have known.
Before there was a record of time, our people have been living with the Sasquatch people. They are just like us, but completely different. They know they can scare a human to death by their appearance alone. In the late 1700s, they held a meeting with our elders. The Sasquatch said they will no longer dance or participate with us in our ceremonies or wrestle our braves. They said the whites and their guns were too many. It was the gun that separated them from us. They said they would go to the high countries and only return for the salmon and game migrations. They told our elders if we told the whites where they were, they would return and take our women and children. They don't have the same values we have. They are terrible traders. Sometimes they just take what we have and just leave with nothing in return. Most of us won't trade with them anymore. Sometimes they just take our salmon from the nets with no regard to us watching or not. The Sasquatch people are just like us, but completely different. The Sasquatch people live 100% in harmony with nature. Unlike us, they need no technology.
Wow, man, that is extremely powerful. Just like us, but different. They live 100% in harmony with nature, unlike us. Can you ponder that for just a moment? What it's like to live 100% in harmony? No need for clothing, no need for shelter. At harmony with this planet. All tribes, all First Nations people know that the Sasquatch are a type of tribe, a people, just like us, but different. Now look, you can look at this picture here that I restored off a 4x5 negative from the master that even Bruce Bonney commented on. You can see the detail down as small as a marble. With today's digital darkroom, Look at this detail. Not AI, not enhanced. From the master film. Now that's a person. You see, the tribes and the First Nations, they've never lied to us. We've insulted them greatly by calling their truth, their history, lore, and tales. If you're a United States citizen, how would you like to have World War I or the Vietnam War be referred to as lore or a tale? No, it's history. It happened. Just like the Sasquatch are a tribe of people to the First Nations. It's one of the ways that the people that settled this country tried to discredit the Native Americans, is refer to their truths and their history with degrading words such as lore, tales, campfire stories. They know exactly who the Sasquatch people are. And the Sasquatch people know exactly who we are. They know we have guns. They know that we can be scared literally to death by them. Okay? Look at this picture. You don't have, I can look at a clock and I know what time it is. I don't need to know how the clock runs. Now, that's human. I don't know what type. I'm tired of editing. I'm not going to go overlay a bunch of different skeletal remains with this picture and try to convince anyone of what, but we know one thing, that's a type of human. Another way you can tell is you can go into the forest and you're not going to find them. It's because they're smarter than you. That's a big gut blow to a lot of you. Tough it out. Walk that one out. All right? Have a glass of water. Walk it out. They are way more intelligent than you. When you step into the forest, you've surrendered. It's theirs. It may be an accidental seeing. They may not care if you see them. But they're going to know you're there. 100%. If they weren't a type of people, why would Michelangelo have painted them on the Sistine Chapel next to us and God Almighty himself? Look at this book from David Paulides, Bigfoot's Wild Men and Giants. Over 400 pages. And in none of the articles are they referred to as a monkey or a gorilla. Wild men, people. What do people say when they get them in their scopes? I can't shoot that. That was a person. Over and over again. How many countless footprints as evidence is there? That's hard evidence. In the words of Rene Dahinden, you want hard evidence? How about I hit you over the head with this cast for hard evidence? Okay? Something physical made those. There's dermal ridges. It's a type of human, just like us, but different. How about the sightings? All those sightings. For every sighting, some estimate 10 to 50 go unreported. So they would all have to be wrong. All the footprints would have to be faked. And that's impossible. And we live in a world where they like to have us chase our tails with words that maybe mean the same thing and definitions that are hollow in among themselves. So let's just get down with the program. This is going to be kind of a two-part episode. I want you to really tune in for this next one coming up because it's a biggie. And it's going to be about the person that did the most to make Patty and the Patterson-Gimlin film not human, and yet did the most for her. Yes, villain and a hero, possibly. It's going to be good. Part 2. Thank you guys for tuning in. Really, it's been great. There's more to this. Stick with me. Thank you very much. We will see you soon.